watching the Cycling Day.
Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to look at the 7 most unbreakable records in the history of the Tour de France. And these records are in no particular order, and without further ado, here is number 1. Every year there are 21 stages on offer for every rider to win, and to win one, let alone more than one, in one Tour de France can be more than many teams hope to dream of. So to win multiple stages for one rider can be seen as quite an impossible task. The highest stage wins for one rider in one tour in recent memory was Mark Cavendish with HTC Columbia in 2009, where he won 6 stages. However, 3 riders have won more stages in one single edition than Mark Cavendish, and they all won 8 stages in total in one tour. The first rider was Charles Pélissier in 1930, and incidentally he also came second a total of 7 times during that tour. Eddy Merckx is the second rider who won 8 stages, both in 1970 and in the 1974 Tour de France editions. Third rider is the Belgian star Freddy Maertens, who won his 8 stages in the 1976 tour, in addition to 4 second place finishes and 2 third place finishes, and he finished 8th overall, but unsurprisingly Freddy Maertens won the green jersey that year. The second unbreakable record we have on our list is all-time stage wins. To win one stage of the Tour de France can make a rider's whole career, but it takes a very special rider to have the highest stage wins. 34 riders in the history of the Tour de France have won more than 10 stages. This doesn't take into account team time trial wins. In modern time, Mark Cavendish, as mentioned earlier, had been sweeping up Tour de France stages like they were going out of fashion. But with his recent decline in form, he hasn't been able to add to his astonishing total of 30 wins. Amazing to think that the general classification rider of Eddy Merckx, and all-round cannibal of the sport, has the most stage wins with 34 wins. And on top of that, he also won the general classification 5 times. But at this rate, it doesn't seem like Mark Cavendish will surpass Eddy Merckx's record, and that's why we think this is an unbreakable record, as no one else in the peloton is even close to Mark Cavendish. And to put it in perspective, Peter Sagan has 12 stage victories to date. Our next unbreakable record is the youngest winner. The Tour de France win of Egan Bernal last year, at 22 years and 196 days, was thought to many as being the youngest ever winner of the Tour de France. However, there were 2 riders that were actually younger than Egan Bernal. The second youngest winner was François Faber at 22 years and 187 days in 1908. The youngest winner was André Cornet at 19 years and 352 days in 1904. And at this age, it seems far beyond anyone's reach, even with a super talent such as Remco Evenepoel, who actually is older than André Cornet to date. And due to the nature how the sport has evolved, we can not see any 19-year-old being talented enough or entrusted with the responsibility of leading a multi-million world tour squad to victory. But we could be wrong. Coming in at number 4, we have the fastest ascent of the Alpe d'Huez. The Alpe d'Huez is one of the most iconic climbs of the Tour de France. The climb to the summit starts at Les Broues du Haut in the Roche Valley. The climb goes via the D211, from where the distance to the summit is 13.8 kilometers with an elevation peak of 1,860 meters. The climb consists of an average gradient of 8.1% with 21 hairpins and a maximum gradient of 13%. The Alpe d'Huez has been used regularly in the Tour de France, and in 2013 it was actually used twice on the same day. Marco Pantani, the Italian icon, holds the record for the fastest ascent of the climb with 36 minutes and 40 seconds, achieved in 1995. So we don't really think that anyone can surpass this record. Marco Pantani was an exceptional talent, and despite with modern technology advancements, we think this record won't be beaten due to the era of cycling it was achieved in. Coming at number 5, we are winning all the classifications of the Tour de France. In modern Tour de France, there are 4 classifications competed for over the course of the Tour de France, with the yellow jersey being for the general classification, the green jersey being for the points classification, the polka dot jersey being for the mountain classification, and the white jersey being for the young rider classification. And there's also the combative award as well. Eddy Merckx is the only rider to win the green, yellow and polka dot jersey, and the only reason he didn't win the white jersey was it wasn't introduced to the race until 1975, and Eddy Merckx's magnificent display was in 1969. We don't think with the way that the sport has evolved, with riders being more specialized, that this feat is actually possible for any rider to do. Froome was very close in 2015 where he actually won the yellow jersey and the mountains classification, but Peter Sagan took the green jersey. Coming in at number 6, we have the slowest speeds of the Tour de France. The average speeds of the most prestigious race in the world is often used as an indicator for how hard the race has been or the route has been. The fastest Tour de France in history was the final Tour in the Lance Armstrong era before he came back. Lance Armstrong rode the 3,592.5 kilometer route in 87 hours, 15 minutes and 2 seconds, thus producing an overall speed of 41.7 kilometers an hour. However, this was later annulled. This record may be surpassed, but we don't think that the record for the slowest average time will ever be beaten now, due to the advancement of the technology of the sport and the change to how races are raced now. The slowest Tour de France edition was in 1919 when Belgian rider Firmin Labotte won with an average speed of 24.1 kilometers an hour. Incidentally, he's also the oldest winner of the Tour de France at an age of 36 years and 130 days, but this is beside the point. The 1919 edition was truly a Tour of France, with the race really taking the circumference of the country and amassing a total of 5,560 kilometers with a total of 15 stages, as the route did its best to navigate around the outline of France. The longest stage was 482 kilometers, which seems amazing compared to the modern length races, so not surprising that the speed was so low. And to put it in perspective, the 2019 Tour de France had an average speed of 40.58 over the 3,365.8 kilometer tour. Coming to our last unbreakable record, we have the longest successful breakaway. In recent memory, in the Vuelta a España, Tony Martin nearly rode away with a victory after a 175 kilometer solo breakaway, but he was denied this by Michael Mørkøv, who pipped him with 40 meters to go. In the Tour de France, the longest successful breakaway by a single rider was Albert Bourlon in the 1947 Tour de France. In the stage, he managed to stay away for 253 kilometers. To put it in perspective, that is 23 kilometers longer than the longest stage of last year's Tour de France. Bourlon's successful breakaway is one of 7 breakaways longer than 200 kilometers, the last being Thierry Marie with 234 kilometers in 1991. Bourlon finished 16 minutes and 30 seconds ahead of the field. This is one of the biggest time gaps, but not the greatest. So just to add a bonus unbreakable record, we think this could be one. The largest winning gap for a breakaway was José Luis Villot, who beat the peloton by 22 minutes and 50 seconds in 1976. That's it for this video. Is there any record we missed out, and what record do you think will stand the longest? If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to not miss out on any of our videos, and as always, thank you for watching and see you next time.